Namaste everyone. Welcome to day 6 of SAMATVAM course on Patanjali Yoga Sutras. Let's begin with Siddhartha Dhyana. Observe your surroundings and gently close your eyes. Start observing your body from head to toe. Connect to your natural breathing. Now connect to deep breathing. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Now let's chant Omkara 3 times. Take a deep breath. Om. Relax. Take a deep breath. Om. Relax. Take a deep breath. Om. Feel the vibration. Let's invoke. Let's connect to God energy, universal energy. Om Atato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritangamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Take a blessing from God energy and universal energy. Now it's time to connect to the Guru. Come to Namaskar Mudra. अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. Take blessings from the Guru, the Masters, and pray for more insightful meanings into today's class. Be there for about 10 seconds in silence.
Hello, Boto.
Take a deep breath. Gently rub your palm. Keep it on your eyes. Feel the warmth of the God energy, Guru energy, and blessings. Now slowly, with a big smile, open your eyes. Welcome everyone to the day 6. Now, let me hand it over to Yogacharya Sri Nagaraja Rao. Guruji.
वाङ्मे मनसि प्रतिष्ठिता मनो मे वाचि प्रतिष्ठिता आविराविर्मयेधि वेदस्य मणिस्थः श्रुतं मे मा प्रहासि अनेनाधितेनाहोरात्रान् संदधामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारम् अवतु वक्तारम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. In Patanjali Yoga Sutra, we have been observing the obstacles to have a successful concentration. Vyadhis, dhyana, samshaya, pramada, alasya, avirati, bhrantirdarshana, labdhabhumikatva, anavasthitattvani. These are the 9 obstacles, followed by 3 more obstacles called dukkha, dormanasya, angame jayatva, vikshepa sabhavaha. This we have been observing. Vyadhi we have understood. Dhyana is the mental laziness. Samshaya is the doubt in one's end. It is about some viewing, foreseeing some danger or discomfort and so on. When enthusiasm is lost, that's the case. Then the laziness, alasya, pramada, alasya, avirati. This is craving for some sensual pleasure. Even during time of focusing or preparing oneself for the meditation, making some mild effort to have the concentration, there is in the mind a sense of a craving for the sensual pleasure. This is called avirati. Next is bhranti darshana. Bhranti darshana, once again, false perceptions. Because whenever you are trying to focus, gain the concentration, dwells upon something which is not real, on some unrealistic entities, the mind is trying to dwell upon. This is called Bhrantir Darshana. Alabdha Bhumikatva. Alabdha Bhumikatva is you have made some effort to gain the focus, but not possible. You have been keeping upon making efforts again and again and again. Spite of it, not able to get the concentration, not able to gain the alabdha bhumikatva, not getting, not obtaining, not possible to obtain the state of concentration. Then anavasthitatva. Somehow you have gained the concentration, but not able to sustain, not able to hold it for a long time. So one is not able to hold the concentration. One is not able to get the concentration. Next is having gained the concentration, not able to hold it for a long time. These are the 9 obstacles for focusing or gaining the concentration. So we have to know about them. Then dukkha, daurmanasya, ankameje. Dukkha is distress or the grief, a state of grief. You know already. Daurmanasya, a despondency. Mind is highly unstable, unsteadiness. Angamejayatva. Whenever this happens, this is a physical one. Whenever we try to focus upon, unknowingly, the body disturbs. The body gets some sort of weakness. Angamejayatva. So these are the dukkha, dormanasya, angamejayatva, vikshepa, shwasa prashwasa. This is the next one. Most important, delicate of all the above. During focusing, during all your trials of focusing, the breathing rate varies. It becomes so unsteady, extraordinary type of breathing. So with a sense of fear, you start breathing. That variation in the breathing itself indicates all the above weaknesses, all the above. So this is one of the main indications where the aspirant is not able to gain the concentration. So the breathing variation in the breathing shows this is. So these 9 you may study later also, but we will now move on to the solutions. Actually, in the second chapter, Ashtanga Yoga has been introduced for the sake of the practitioners. And nowadays, we are depending upon only Ashtanga Yoga whenever we speak of yoga. Because that's the lifestyle described in the Ashtanga Yoga. But before that, in the first chapter itself, Patanjali has provided 9 type of solutions or the way to gain the concentration. And most people do not look into this because most people felt that this is not an easy way. But this is the 9 steps or the 9 ways to gain the concentration given by Patanjali. We have to focus upon this. Usually we focus upon the Ashtanga Yoga, Yamaniyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. So by this also, we can gain the Samadhi. But before that, in the first chapter itself, in the Samadhi Pada itself, how one can gain the state of Samadhi by practicing these steps. Any one of the steps can be adopted here. But once again, it's not so easy to follow this step. We'll go one by one. Tat pratishedanartham ekatatvabhyasaha. In order to overcome all such weaknesses, whether it is vyadhi, sthana, samshaya, alasya, labdha, bhumikatva, and so on, in order to overcome such, ekatatvabhyasaha, follow only one theory. Follow only one theory. Have faith only in one theory. If you are following the practices, then you have to adhere yourself for only one faith. Have only one faith, because we may tend to shift ourselves from one theory to the next theory. And every day practicing a different theory will not be will not be able to bring you the state of concentration and so on. So fix up yourself for one theory or one faith to focus upon a single truth. That is one step. Next is Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, Upekshanam, Sukha, Dukha, Punya, Punya Vishayanam, Bhavanat, Chitta Prasadanam. This is next step. Of course, this is the lifestyle. Maitri, being friendly, Karuna, being compassionate, Mudita, being smiling, Upeksha, showing some difference, not recognizing, keeping aside. These are the steps. But with whom? Sukha, Dukkha, Punya, Apunyana. There are 4 types of people Patanjali has identified. To have a successful social life, you have to identify these 4 types of people. One are very comfortable, Sukhi, Dukhi. Next type of person, they are in distress. The Sukhi is a comfortable person. Next, Dukhi is a person who is in distress. Punya, a meritorious person who has been doing very good works even for the sake of the society. Apunyana, Apunya is a person who has been causing some damage to the social life, disturbing the social life, always involving in a mischievous activity. Such a person. So Sukhi, happy person. Dukhi, a person in the distress. Punya, a meritorious person doing something good for the society. Apunya, a person who is causing danger to the society. So these are the 4 types of people Patanjali has identified. To be with such person, what the type of your behavior regarding the behavior. With Sukhi, who are happy, who are comfortable, with them, Maitri, be friendly. Be friendly with the happy person. Dukhi, who are in the distress, Karuna, show them compassion. Be compassionate with the people who are in distress. This is the next step. Punya, who are meritorious, helping others, helping the whole society. Mudita, you be smiling. You join them with your smile. So join people who are helping the others with a smile. Then Apunyanam, with people who are really causing damage to the social life. With them, you just ignore. You just don't recognize them at all. So by doing so, also you can gain the concentration. So these 4 type of social life is the aspirant will be successful. The 4th one we have to understand, why should we ignore a person who has been causing danger to the society? Ignoring a person is not right because he has to be treated. He has to be brought to the mainstream in the society. As a yogic person, why should I ignore a person? Here, ignoring the person or keeping aside a person is this way. You just start ignoring the presence of the person. Any person in the society needs a social recognition. For a little while, if you ignore a person, the fellow is coming closer to you. Whenever he is trying to come close to you, he has to rectify his mistakes, otherwise he cannot be with you. You have to show your generosity with the people who have been causing some danger, but whenever you want to gain the concentration, just ignore that. So such a person will come close to you because you have been gaining concentration in spite of his disturbances. You should be so strong to sustain the disturbances of a wicked person. So even a wicked person, in due course of time, will turn himself to behave proper. So this is the idea. This is how to treat a person who has been disturbing others. So this is the yogic way. To follow this way, we really need a lot of courage and a lot of patience, because being with a wicked person and ignoring him is not so easy, because you may tend to attend that person. You should not do that. Don't attend for a little while, maybe a long while also. But finally, the wicked person also becomes a good person. So till then, you have to ignore or keeping aside. That is one of the steps. The next step, once again, yogic practice. Prachardhana vidharanabhyam va pranasya. So carefully you have to read this statement. Usually in translation, it is said by expulsion and the retention of the breathing. Prachardhana Vidharanabhyam va Pranasya. This is just like appears like practice of pranayama. So exhalation and holding, inhalation and holding. This is the practice in pranayama. But carefully look there. Prachardhana Vidharanabhyam va Pranasya. This is not a Shwasasya. Patanjali, whenever he has been speaking, sometimes he uses the word prana, sometimes he uses the word Shwasa. Both words he uses. What is pranayama? He explains in the later in the second chapter. Pranayama is that Shwasa Prashwasa Yor Gati Vichedaha Pranayama. He uses the word Shwasa and the Prashwasa. But in this sutra, he uses the word prana. Prachardhana Vidharanabhyam va Pranasya. Usually translators take help of these words by exhalation or by expulsion and the retention of the breath. Here, carefully, Patanjali has not used the word the breath, but he has used Prachardhana Vidharanabhyam va Pranasya, of the prana. Then what is the difference between the breath and the prana? We have to understand here. Is it possible to expel? Is it possible for the expulsion of the prana? Not possible. What is meant by holding of the prana? Once again, in the practice, it is all about the breathing. Even Patanjali has also telling that. It is all about the breathing. But be careful. Don't consider yourself that you have been expelling and holding the breath. It is not merely the holding of the breath or the exhaustion of the breath and so on. Here, breath means also the prana. Your focus should be so intense that you are not merely breathing in and out the air, also you have been using or sensing the existence of the pranic energy. This is the focus upon the pranic energy while practicing the deep breathings. So remember always, it is not merely the breathing, it is all about the focusing upon the pranic energy during the expulsion and the retention practices. So Prachardhana Vidharanabhyam va Pranasya. Next he goes to the next technique. This is also a technique. Prachardhana Vidharanabhyam is a technique. Next coming Vishayavati va Pravrittirutpanna Manasaha Sthiti Nibandhini. This is one of the very, very delicate type of practice. And please listen to this, because such practices are not explained anywhere, because nowadays yoga means only practicing postures, maximum extent practicing pranayama. Next step, some people practice meditation. That's all. This is a technical practice. Sthiti Nibandhini, it is called. It is about higher level of concentration. Higher level of concentration. Sthiti Nibandhini. Pravrittirutpanna Manasaha. Pravrittirutpanna Manasaha Sthiti Nibandhini. Vishayavati va Pravrittirutpanna Manasaha. That's a state of mind where it is gaining different type of abilities. Such a focus you have to attain. By doing so, you will get an extraordinary ability of yoga that you have to understand. How do I get, and what are they? That I have to know now. In Bhashya Vyasa, he has explained how to practice that technique of Sthiti Nibandhini. He explains. We have to go in detail for that. Focusing upon the tip of the tongue. So focusing upon the upper palate, focusing upon the middle of the tongue, focusing upon the root of the tongue, focusing upon the tip of the nose. These are the points where one can gain the concentration. You please just, I will repeat this. This is highly a technical suggestion. You have made up your mind to gain the higher concentration. You are seated well, comfortably sitting. and observing your breathing, trying to focus upon, you have to select the points. You have to select the points. So Patanjali says, now focus upon the tip of the nose, the nasal tip. This is the first place. Then focus upon the tip of the tongue. Next point. Focus upon the middle center point of the tongue. Next, you go to the root of the tongue. Go to the upper palate. So by doing so, you are gaining so much of concentration, and this leads to different type of siddhis or the attainments called khechari, bhuchari, khechari mudra, bhuchari mudra, and so on. So this you have to practice in the guidance of the master. These are the 5 points: tip of the tongue, middle point of the tongue, upper palate, root of the tongue, and so on. So these points you have to remember. In the guidance of the guru, if you practice this, you will gain a mastery or a command over the over the uh, over the elements, basic elements. Prithvi, apas, tejo, vayu, akashat. You will gain the essential feature of the earth, essential feature of the water, essential feature of the Agni, the fire, essential feature of the Vayu, and essential features of the Akasha. If you feel there is a feature for the Akasha, then it is so during the Siddhi or the attainments. It's all about the Siddhis. You need a deep focus upon this. Then next step is that the 36th, this is 36th Sutra, Vishokava Jyotishmati. Vishokava Jyotishmati. Try to focus upon a light, which gives you a message of not being in the sorrow. Vishoka, no sorrow, no grief. That is the status of the flame or the jyoti or the light. So you have an inner light. So again, this is explained in the Gheranda Samhita. All these practices are explained in the Gheranda Samhita by Gheranda. Sometimes also in the Hatha Pradipika by Swatmarama. Patanjali's presentations have some sattvic approach, but some of the directions given here is not possible by just a sattvic practice. You need some technical supplements which are explained by Gheranda in his Samhita. If you go to Gheranda Samhita, you will understand what is meant by focusing upon an inner light, Vishokava Jyotishmati. He has explained there. Different type of meditations, Patanjali, the Gheranda has explained, but they are more technical. That's why Patanjali has given only the hints to go for such practices. Now he is suggesting, Patanjali has been suggesting, focusing upon an inner light which is beyond sorrow. Then how do I get the imagination of such? You really need a little time to have the imagination of the inner light, also to consider it beyond distress. There is a light, which is a pure light, has been emitting the sattvic rays upon you, and it stands beyond any type of distress that you can have in your mundane life. This is what is about Vishokava Jyotishmati. This is a very little explanation I am providing in order to proceed to the next steps. Vitaraga Vishayam va Chittam. This is the 37, I think, 37. Vitaraga Vishayam va Chittam. You know, raga means the attachment. To stand above the attachment. So you have to select such a topic of discussion in yourself to gain the concentration. The chitta has to dwell itself upon a state where you are rejecting or getting a state of non-attachment with the Vishaya Vasana, with the sensual pleasure or whatever be that. With any sense perception, if you are going out of any sense perception, that is Vishaya Vitaraga Vishayam va Chittam. The Chitta is trying to go beyond the Vishayas or the pleasure. Swapna Nidra Gnanavalambanam va. If you cannot do that, of course, dreaming is very common for a person, and getting into the deep sleep is also very common. You just recall your memories. What have you seen in your dreams? Call that again and try to dwell upon such experiences, the experiences of the dream. And if possible, also you try to recall your experiences during your deep sleep. This is the Sushupti. This is not about the Swapna. One is about the Swapna, next is about the Sushupti, about the deep sleep. So what you have experienced during your deep sleep, please recall that you are getting into the state of higher concentrations. So it is very easy to read this sutra out. Also feels so good and so easy. It is not so easy to recall the experiences of the dream, not so easy to recall the experiences of the deep sleep again. Because deep sleep is such a state where you are not perceiving in the nidra, in the earlier explanation, in the same chapter, we have discussed. It is the state of deep sleep, nidra. What is your experience during deep sleep? No. Only you can say, I have slept well. That's all. But you cannot recall that. But Patanjali says, recall that. Try to recall. Try to dwell upon the same experience. Because mostly in the Indian scripts, there's a vast explanation upon the nidra, the state of deep sleep. In Brihadaranyaka also, this Yagnavalkya widely discusses on the same experience of the nidra. Mata bhavati, pita bhavati, steno. Like this. It is such a peculiar state or an extraordinary state of the human. Even the mother forgets herself in what state she is. Because when she is in the deep sleep, she may be forgetting her own baby. But once the baby cries, immediately she comes back from the deep sleep also. So this is the state of the deep sleep. When you are in the deep sleep, you have forgotten yourself. But whenever there's a call for you from your most lovable person, then immediately you are waking up. Pita bhavati, even Pita, so-called the father, also forgets that he is the father. When he is in the deep sleep, he never remembers that he is the father or she is the mother, and so on. The most peculiar, steno bhavati. Even a thief, when he is in the deep sleep, he is not a thief at all. In the deep sleep, thief is not a thief. But when he wakes up, immediately he becomes a thief. Because his thoughts are so severe, his thoughts are so wild. He presumes the activity of the theft and so on. So that's about Nidra. If you open up any Upanishad or any Shastra book, you will come across the explanations about the Nidra. In the Purana also, you will get explanations of the Nidra. Many Puranas have explained what is meant by Nidra, Tandra, and so on. Okay, I shall not go there. Finally, he comes to such a mild solution. Yathabhimata dhyanadva. You select any step, but focus. Dhyana, you come to the meditation. You focus upon something else and get into the state of dhyana. The word dhyana is a noun. Dhyana is a noun. It is not the verb. So whenever you say dhyana, it is not doing dhyana. It is not doing the meditation. You can never do the meditation. It's not any such to do that. The meditation has to happen. You can prepare your mind to have the happening of the meditation. That's all. But you cannot you cannot do the meditation. It's not doing. So you can prepare your mind to have the state of meditation by prachardana vidharana bhyamva pranasya vishokava jyotishmati Vishayavati va pravrittiritpanna manasaha sthiti nibandhini. Like this, these are the steps, different steps given by Patanjali. You can follow any step by doing so. Yathabhimata dhyanadva. You follow any step, but be in the state of meditation, Patanjali says. So this is a wide suggestion. It is up to you to select the path. That's why Gurave Sarvalokanam Vishaje Bhavaroginam. Guru is the only resort. If you go with the Guru, Guru will suggest observing your strength and capacities. That is the so this is how to gain the concentration. Next, there are few sutras. Then Patanjali explains what is the type of samadhi. We have observed in the Sampragnata Samadhi, there are four types: Vitarka, Vichara, Ananda, Asmita. In the Vitarka, there are two types: Savitarka and the Nirvitarka. Vichara, Savichara, Nirvichara. Then comes the Sabija and the Nirbija. These are the types of samadhi Patanjali has explained in the next sutras. For that, he gives some steps to achieve such. Before that, he is trying to explain us in the 40, sutra number 40, Paramanu, Paramamahatvat. When a person is able to gain the concentration, focus upon something, he gains such a state where he can focus upon the Paramanu. Paramanu, the primal atom, it is called the prime. Paramanu means it is the origin of expression of the mass. In yoga and in other darshanas, even atom is called a mass because you are able to feel the mass. You are able to feel the mass through your mental thoughts, through your thoughts. If I say atom, you can imagine that. So you are so strong even to visualize an atom, Paraman. So it is the primal existence, the fundamental existential feature of these mundane aspects. From that Paramanu, this great apparent mass has come to existence. So such a person who follows any one of these steps or all these steps will be able to perceive the presence of the Paramanu. Then what? Then he is able to have the perception of the great mass, Parama Mahatva. You will be able to perceive the structure of a planet, like Jupiter or Venus, or a planet which is beyond the perception of a common man. Such a extraordinary strength one can gain. Then all the Kshina Vritti is dissolved in him. Then he becomes strong enough to gain the state of Savitarka and the Nirvitarka. Finally goes to the Savichara and the Nirvichara. How to gain the Savitarka? We focus upon the forms. We focus upon the features. These are the two steps. Form and the feature or the description of it. For example, you are focusing upon the Ganapati, the famous icon. So first what you imagine the form. Ganapati has got broader ears, small eyes, and so on, a big trunk and so on, like that. You imagine the form. Then you imagine the characteristic features. The Ganapati bless us and he takes out all our obstacles and so on. He's so kind enough to provide us the knowledge and so upon. So whenever you imagine something, you assign two strengths upon that focal point. One, imagining the form or the shape of it. Next, what are the strengths available there? So when you are in such a state, it is called the Savitarka. It's called the Savitarka Samadhi. When you are able to go on beyond these two features, these two, that's called the Nirvitarka. Then Savichara and the Nirvichara. In the Savichara, you are not at the grosser level, you are at the finer level of understanding the form and the features. That's called the Savichara. It is in the subtle level. Then the Nirvichara, you are trying to go beyond that. That's the Nirvichara. Then comes the Sabija. Sabija means, of course, you are focusing upon the forms and the features, but not in its grosser form, not in its subtle form also. You have gone to such a level as though you have been observing in a capsule form, in the seed form. So in the form of a small seed, you have been observing the features or descriptions and so on. But Patanjali cautions us, it is in the Sabija form. At any point, it can sprout and become a big tree also. Be careful. Don't have the imagination of a seed. The Vishaya is in the form of a seed. All the worldly knowledge, mundane knowledge, is in the form of a seed here. So the Nirbija is that such a state where you are ignoring the seed form also. That's why in the further explanations he says a fried up seed because of your yogic Agni, Yoga Agni Sambhuta. Yoga Agni, there's a fire called yogic Agni. From the fire of yoga, you are burning the seed. You are burning the seed of the Vishayas. That is the mundane comforts. Mundane comforts is in the form of a seed. With your yogic fire, you are going to burn that also. Then comes the Nirbija Samadhi. This is a very small explanation about all the four. Savitarka, Nirvitarka, Savichara, Nirvichara, Sabija and the Nirbija. So in the Nirbija Samadhi, you are burning out even all the mundane aspects, which is in the form of a seed, then you are gaining the higher concentration. Ritambhara tasya prajna. So how is such a state? He prevails himself in the state of Rita. There are three: Satya, Dharma, Rita. Dharma is following a right way of living. Satya is speaking this truth or believing the truth as is, how is. That is, Satya is again yatha shrutam, yatha drishtam, yatha numitam, tat satyam iti. This is the explanation by Vyasa. So as is, how you have experienced, how you have seen, how you have heard, in the same way, such an expression is called the Satya. But what is explained here is the Rita. It is beyond the Dharma and the Satya. So Rita is an extraordinary experience of the truth. So Ritambhara tasya prajna. His awareness will be in a state of Rita. He is the embodiment of the Rita, an extraordinary truth. That is the extraordinary truth. So that will be the feature, Ritambhara tasya prajna. So by this way, he concludes the first chapter with few more explanations, of course. He enters into the next chapter called the Sadhana Pada. So in the Samadhi Pada, Patanjali has taken steps to explain what Samadhi is and how to gain the state of Samadhi. And we can, for all purposes, consider all the explanations, descriptions in yoga is in the first chapter itself. Really, it is not necessary to enter into the next chapters, of course. Everything has been explained here. There's nothing more to explain about yoga. But however, Patanjali has also opted to describe the yogic features in the next three chapters. Because what has been explained in the first chapter is not so easy to be followed by common people. So now he explains how common people also can follow the yogic path. So he enters into the second chapter. I am going to begin this because time is so short. We have to explain, we have to gain the knowledge of different aspects. In the second chapter, it begins Tapaswadhyaya Ishvara Pranidhanani Kriya Yoga. Na tapasvino yoga siddhati. This is the explanation by Vyasa. Tapas. What is tapas? Tapa, the actual meaning of the word tapa is getting heated up. So the increase of the heat in you is called the tapa. No, that's not that's only meaning of the word. Here, tapas means an extraordinary devotion. Extraordinary devotion. So tapasa brahma vijignasasva. It's also in the Upanishads. If you want to gain the knowledge of the Brahma, go to tapas. It is not merely focusing. It's not merely meditating. Dedicating entire activities of all the activities of the day for the same cause. When you are sitting, you are focusing. When you are wandering, you are also focusing. When you are eating, you are focusing. When you are going to the bed, you are focusing. Such a practice where you have got a clear devotion for focusing, such a lifestyle is called a tapas. It has to happen. We should not imagine a person sitting in the Padmasana and trying to focus upon closing his eyes and focusing upon breathing. That's not the tapas. During entire activity, all the activities of the day, you are in a state of high focus. This is called the tapas. Next comes the swadhyaya. It is understanding one's own self, the inner self. In the next Ashtanga Yoga also this is given. I will explain in detail later. Anyway, it is Swadhyaya, understanding of one's own self, Ishvara Pranidhana. So we have heard of the Bhakti Yoga in Bhagavad Gita. In yoga, Ishvara Pranidhana is just like just like the Bhakti Yoga. Ishvara Pranidhana is surrendering. Ishvara Pranidhanidva in the earlier explanations. To gain the concentration, Patanjali has advised the Ishvara Pranidhana also. Ishvara Pranidhana is one of the important features in the Yoga Darshan. This is about the Bhakti Yoga. If you cannot do anything, because Patanjali has advised so many paths, Vishayavati Pravritti Utpanna Manasaha Sthiti Nibandhini, how to gain the state of Sthiti Nibandhini, he has explained. Ithabhimata Dhyanadva. Practice the meditation in whatever the way you like or whatever the way you get. So such directions has been given to us by Patanjali, but now he is explaining in the second chapter, in the beginning of the second chapter, about the Ishvara Pranidhana. If you are not so intelligent enough to select the path, just have a decision in you to submit yourself at the feet of the Lord or at the feet of your Guru. Just follow whatever Guru directs you. You surrender your mind, all the mental abilities, mental features, you just surrender before the Guru. This is called the Ishvara Pranidhana. So tapas swadhyaya Ishvara Pranidhana Kriya Yoga. This is all about the Kriya Yoga. So why it comes? Samadhi Bhavanartha Klesha Tanukaranascha. These are the two. By doing so, by practicing that, you will gain a strength of imagination of the Samadhi. Samadhi Bhavana. You will understand how the Samadhi is. Kleshatanu Karanascha. By gaining such a concentration, you will be mitigating the obstacles like klesha. Klesha also you can avoid. Then what is klesha? So Samadhi Bhavanartha, Klesha Tanu Karanascha. There are two comforts by concentration. One is samadhi, you will gain the state of samadhi. The klesha will also be softened by softening of the klesha. What is klesha? We will look into that later, of course. Any questions? I can easily understand. It is not so easy to understand these facts because they are highly technical. They all originated with the Shastra. Unless you have an exposure to the Shastra, it's not so easily possible to gain the meaning of it. This, anyway, this needs some practical experiences because how somehow I have come to the level of explaining the Klesha. Before explaining the Klesha, there are so many technical words here, like Sthitini Bandhini, Vishokava, Jyotishmati, Prachardhana Vidharana, Bhyamva, Pranasya, what is meant by prana, what is meant by shwasa. You should understand there are so many steps before that. Please come out with questions. Then I may be able to explain.
Okay. Thank you, Guruji.
Govardhan,
Thank you, Guruji.
I am handing over to you for the questions.
Sure. Thank you, Guruji. It was a wonderful session. So yes, there are a couple of questions. So one question from Venkatesh 5G. So he asks, we cannot recall deep sleep. You were explaining about the deep sleep, right? So same way, can we recall the experiences? What happens during samadhi is his question.
Since you cannot recall the experiences in the sleep, you cannot also recall the experiences in the samadhi. It's all the same. But somehow, as an intelligent person, as a wise person, you can recall how the sleep was. You will say, it was so good, so pleasant. I got a good sleep. You will exclaim on the next day. In the same way, you can somehow experience you can explain about the nidra after you are awakened up. Samadhi also you can understand. It's a pleasant state where there are no kleshas. That's about the samadhi. Of course, you can explain, you can recall the experiences of the samadhi. In a way, you are recalling the experiences of the nidra, the deep sleep also. But you may not be able to recall it exactly. You can recall the happiness that you have experienced during nidra. In the same way, you can recall the happiness what you have experienced during the samadhi. You can recall that.
In extension to that, Guruji, this is Yoga Darshana. It's called as Darshana, right? So Darshana happens in one of the samadhis, right? To be able to explain it later. So what type of samadhi is that when these darshanas happen?
Now, this is a school of philosophy. Yoga is a school of philosophy.
Okay.
That's why it's called the darshana. Like this, there are so many darshanas. Sankhya is a darshana, yoga is a darshana, nyaya is a darshana, and the darshana, Vedanta and the Mimamsa, they are all darshanas. This is just like school of philosophy. This is called yoga school of philosophy, Sankhya school of philosophy, and so on. Every school of philosophy has got their own way of explaining the Brahma. This is all about. And finally, through yoga philosophy, we are trying to understand the self. Understanding the self means one's own soul, that is the Atma, Jivatma. By the way, understanding the Paramatma also. So that's what the final target of any school of philosophy. In yoga school of philosophy, also we are trying to understand the Atma, one's own self. And finally, reaching the state of Kaivalya. So the terms used in yoga philosophy, yoga school of philosophy, are some particular. They are particular to this school. That's why it's called the school. It's called the darshan. It's called the darshan. Darshana is not merely looking at through the eyes. It is understanding something by using all our senses. It's called the darshana. Okay.
Okay. Next question is about Pranava. You were explaining about the Pranava, the Omkara. How exactly the Omkara brings the tranquility between the mind, emotions, and then what happens is I think it's more technical question. If you can explain in one or two sentences, that would be great, Guruji.
How do I gain the tranquility? By using the pranava, this sound.
Right.
The final tanmatra is the sound, shabda. The gross identification of the shabda is akasha. If you can imagine the akasha, you can imagine the ultimate sound also. It's called the primordial sound. If you are focusing upon the primordial sound, you can really gain the state of tranquility. But it's not so easy to understand the primordial sound. Otherwise, you can understand other sounds. I am speaking, you are listening. You are speaking, I am listening. If you are beating a drum, it's very easy. You can listen to the sound of the drum. If you are blowing some horn, then you can listen to the sounds of the horn. But here, you are focusing upon the primordial sound called the pranava. From that primordial sound, the prana has come to existence. That's why it's called the pranava. So if you have all this theoretical background in you or the philosophical background in you, then you can listen to these sounds. It becomes such a sound which brings you the state of tranquility. Before entering into such practices, you should have the faith in the pranic sound, in the pranava sound. If you have the faith, then only such a sound brings you the tranquility. If you do not have the faith in the pranava sound, it cannot bring you the tranquility. So faith, that's what the Ishvara Pranidhana is called. You should have faith and belief in such sound. Then it is going to bring you the state of tranquility. Okay.
Guruji, one more question. In very, very brief, what is Sankhya philosophy?
Okay, in one or two sentences, I will try to explain. Sankhya philosophy is almost like yoga philosophy. In Sankhya, he prepares a list of the existential features. What is in existence? He prepares a long list. Like that, he counts some 24 features, including the sense organs, organs of action, Panchamahabhutas, and the subtle variety of the Panchamahabhutas, Tanmatras, like that. So, Grana, Rasana, Netra, Shrotra, Tvak, like 4 sense organs, 5 sense organs, Vak, Pada, Pani, Payu, Upastha, 5 organs of action, Prithvi, Vyapas, Teja, Vayu, Akasha, Panchamahabhutas, Gandha, Rasa, Rupa, Sparsha, Shabda, Panchatanmatras, Manas, Buddhi, Ahankara, Chitta, and so on. Like this, all the features he identifies. Finally goes, above all this, in yoga, there is Ishvara. In Sankhya, there is no Ishvara. There is no concept of Ishvara. Though there is no concept of Ishvara, Sankhya is considered as a yoga school, yogic school, Vedic school. It's called the Vedic school. Vedanta, Veda Darshana. Astika Darshana, it's called the Astika Darshana once again. Okay, this is about the Sankhya. Okay, we will take up an exclusive session to explain about the Sankhya.
Absolutely, Guruji. Thank you so much. I think we will definitely get an opportunity to interact with you in one of the coming days, and then that is being planned. Okay, so we will now, complete this session with Shanti Mantra and then gratitude, Guruji. Thank you, Guruji, Nagaraj Guruji, for this wonderful session. We thank Rotary Bangalore Global Yoga, Yoga University of America, Swami Vivekananda Yoga Research Health Trust, Spiritual Solution Center, and all its volunteers and all the participants of this program, and Cosmos for giving us this opportunity to come together and then learn this ancient wisdom. Now, over to the Shanti Mantra. Please close your eyes. Om Dyauh Shantihi अंतरिक्षगं शान्तिः पृथिवी शान्तिः आपः शान्तिः ओषधयः शान्तिः वनस्पतयः शान्तिः विश्वे देवाः शान्तिः ब्रह्म शान्तिः सर्वगं शान्तिः शान्तिरेव शान्तिः सा मा शान्तिरेधि ॐ शान्तिः 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 नमस्ते everyone. We'll meet again next Monday, 5 a.m.